Welcome to Midlife Women Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Lynette Turner, and today we've got a really interesting conversation. We've got the Year of the Horse that starts today, which is February 17th. That's the date of this recording. And I'm also bringing on somebody who has all this great knowledge about human design. So the question to you is, have you ever done everything right in your business and still felt drained? You follow this plan, you stay consistent, you try to show up like the experts say, and it still doesn't quite feel like you. And that's what we're going to talk all about today. My guest is Mel McSherry, and she teaches human design as a practical way to understand how you're wired to make decisions, use your energy, and build businesses, and I guess just a life that fits your real rhythm. If you're bouncing between strategies, second guessing yourself, or feeling like you can't stay consistent no matter how hard you try, this episode is going to help you see what's actually going on and what to do next. Mel, welcome to the show. Welcome to the first day of the horse. Uh,
Yes.
we're going to talk all about that. I'm going to hand the floor over to you. Give yourself a bit of an introduction, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely, Lynette. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have all bits and bobs of this conversation. Hello, everyone. My name is Mel McSherry. My pronouns are they, she, and I'm an international business and life guide and human design practitioner. My passion and my purpose is to help inspired but yet overwhelmed entrepreneurs honor their lives and become the architects of their true success by recognizing and connecting their personal patterns of profitability mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially through human design, and then using that lens in partnership with traditional business development tools and frameworks. So it gives you not only the framework that you already have invested in, whether time wise or money wise, but then you can also look at it from your own perspective, really making sure that you are staying in alignment with your design and creating a successful, sustainable pace in your business, as well as continuing to take care of you and to create those spaces and places in your personal life that will continue to fill that profitability, again, in all the areas in any way possible. And it's so funny because I've been an entrepreneur for 16 years and started that in the fitness industry, moved into business coaching in 2016. And the reason why human design made such an impact on me when it found me in 2020 was I was that person that you just described in the beginning. I was the person who was doing everything correctly. I was a divorced mom, primary caregiver to my son who is autistic. And I was doing all the things. I was making six figures. I was traveling all over. I was being paid to travel across country to facilitate workshops. And yet felt really disconnected to myself, felt really disconnected to the process, feeling like this quote unquote success wasn't worth it. Like I was waiting for that day where I could just wake up and go, oh, there it is, instead of waking up and going, okay, got to do it again, got to be here, got to do this. Right. And when human design found me, I was at a spiritual retreat in Sedona, Arizona. And one of the other participants brought it up. And I remember looking at my chart, reading the bits that I could, because there's a lot inside of a human design chart. And even in just that little bit of information, sobbing because of the validation that I was reading, of the confirmation of what I knew to be true about myself, but didn't trust because I was conditioned not to, or didn't have the vernacular to advocate for it because I didn't know if it was real and where this was coming from. And when you have that validation and confirmation of what you already know to be true, because we know so much, we are such a profitable resource, again, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially for ourselves and our businesses. And when we really see that operations manual that we were born with and the path to profitability that has already been, designed for us, the way that you can then just lessen the noise and really come to a place of trust, of excitement, of play, of success, that that's just that's the whole point, right? That's the whole reason why we want to be entrepreneurs, is to have that sensibility. And when you see that you already have everything inside of you to answer the call of your soul, and human design shows you where to find it and teach you how to apply it in your own way, then your success and the ways you can utilize that are absolutely limitless.
Yeah, exactly. I loved all that the words that you were saying there, right? It's really like how I heard it. It was like it wasn't human design is not something that really fixes you, but it helps
Uh-huh.
you meet yourself again. And that's kind of what I
Yeah.
think that experience you
Yeah,
had in
nobody's
Sedona. Yeah.
broken. Yeah, you move
Yeah,
away
exactly.
from 'cause I mean, I know we've all been in those situations where we've invested time and money in something and it hasn't worked to its full, quote, unquote, "potential," and we instantly go, "Well, what's wrong with me?" We never go, "Well, what's wrong with the system?" 'Cause the
Right.
system wasn't meant for you. It was somebody built it for themselves and then made it copy and pasteable, but nothing is truly copy and pasteable. And so it
Yeah.
comes back to, no, you do have so much. So yeah, there's nothing, you're not broken. There's nothing to be fixed. We've just gone too far away from our natural selves and it's bringing us back to that natural profitability that I said we're all born with.
Exactly. I just think about the day, this age of AI and how
Uh,
I truly believe that it is because we depend on it so much. Well, at least
mhm.
I do. I think a lot of people are using AI to do a lot of things. And I think underneath all of that, it's pulling us away from who we truly are and
Yeah.
how we think. And so a lot of the time I know people are taking their AI responses to whatever question, whatever research, whatever, and
Mhm.
they're taking it for such like literal, and they're not taking
Yeah.
it and processing it through the lens of who they are. So before we get too far down the path, let's back
Mhm.
up a little bit. And for
Yeah.
any woman that may be listening or man that may be listening to this podcast right now and they have never really heard or they kind of heard a little bit about human design for the first time, what is it in plain English? Like we know it's not woo woo. It's a way of being and it's who you are, but maybe break it down a little bit into
Yeah,
plainer
absolutely.
English. Yeah.
So, human design layers together 5 different modalities, and those modalities are quantum physics, the chakra system, astrology, Kabbalah, and I Ching. So it actually is a combination of quote unquote spiritual and scientific based tools, which I love because if we actually go down to the actual foundations of science and spirituality, they started in the same spot. So to me, they're all scientific because there is scientific proof of all of these different formulas. But with that said, how they work together is they show you what is coined your energetic blueprint. So it shows you how much energy you have, where that energy comes from, how are the best processes for your decision making, where are your patterns originating from when it comes to decision making and your authority. And it really shows you a gorgeous, like I said, operations manual of who you are, the purpose that you were born with, and how you are designed to bring that purpose to life. Now, the one thing that is different than a lot of quote unquote frameworks is it's not a checklist. It's not, okay, first you start here and then you do XYZ and then you go here and do ABC. How it was brought forward, and even the person who brought it together, it's information that you already know, and then it's for you to implement and play with on your own. So there is no, in my opinion, there is no wrong way for you to utilize your human design except for maybe knowing it and not utilizing it at all, which is actually very hard to do because we naturally work and live inside of our design. We just get conditioned to go too far or start too soon in certain spaces. And so what it does is it gives you that cadence, that natural rhythm that you have. And then with that, allows you to look at the decisions that you've made, the ways that you have designed your business, or even the ways that you've designed your personal life, and really making sure that you are creating spaces and places that are natural profitability points. And I know I say profitability a lot because it is so many layers, right? I've said it a couple times already mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially. So it's your blueprints on the again, how you are designed to bring your purpose to life in your most profitable way possible.
Right. And so when you say blueprint, I know this
Mhm.
because I mean, I did my chart. Actually, a very dear friend of mine asked me a year ago, I think I told you on our pre call,
Mm.
what am I? And so
Yeah.
in the human design element, we'll kind of that'll be my next question, just to kind of break down
Yeah.
the 5 types. But so I said, "Well, I'm a manifesting generator, da da da." And she's like, "Well, do you even know what that means?" And I'm like, "No." And so I download this chart and then I'm like, "Erch, what? I don't even know
That's
how
a
to
lot.
use that." So
Yeah.
why do you think, when we go down these paths of like understanding who we are, and this is a
Mhm.
great, I guess, pathway or tool or understanding that can really
Yeah.
help you. But then we get this chart and then we freeze. Like, what do you think blocks us from really sort of digging deeper? Is it just confusing, or is it just subconsciously we're doing something?
I mean, looking at a chart for anybody who wants to or has, it already looks like a completely different language. There's shapes, there's numbers, there's lines, there's a person, but then parts of the person is colored in and parts of the person isn't. And so at looking at it from face value, it doesn't give you a lot of information. And it's meant to be broken down and digested and implemented in pieces. In fact, the person who brought it forward says it takes an average of 7 years for you to fully incorporate your design, which means you just naturally just start, being fluid inside of it. And I love that because it gives you time to practice, to play, to adjust with what the information that you have about yourself and how it really does play out in your environments, in your business, and so forth. Because it's not meant to be taken at face value. So even with types, I actually call human design the ultimate onion of personal development because there's many, 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 many layers. And in order to understand one layer, in my opinion, that needs to kind of present itself on its own as you work on kind of the more foundational areas. And to me, those foundational areas are your type, which there are 5, and we can go over those in a second. And that is your overarching how much energy you have, where it comes from, and what your specific strategy is to keep that energy healthy. Then we go even further. Okay, so you're this type. Now, who you are as that type is defined for you personally in the other areas, which are your centers, which are in alignment with different chakras. What's called your profile, which are your 2 main characteristics, both conscious and unconscious, as well as your authority, which is where you make your decision, and your incarnation cross, which is your overarching purpose in your life. So it's meant for you. And I in fact just experienced this. I did a reading right before I came on here. It's meant for you to go, oh, okay, thank you. There it is. And then with that, go, oh, that's where I went too far, or that's why this opportunity didn't play out the way that it was. How can I do things differently? And how can I repeat the ones that went beautifully? Because that was me just naturally working in my design without me really knowing it. So
Yeah.
I always say start with your type first because that does give you a good overarching. And then in a reading that I do, the basic, I go over those 5 areas with you. So you see yourself in that holistic light. And then, as I continue to work with them, then we're just called to different areas of their chart and where they want to start implementing them, either in their life and their business or both. And we let it kind of unfurl on its own.
Right. And so there's 5 types, but then you're saying there's 5 areas within your particular type.
Yeah, there's kind of like those 5
Okay.
foundational, yeah, they're kind of
Okay.
the main points of your chart. And then those get honed in. Those
Okay.
5 areas are pretty digestible when it comes to information. Where it
Uh-huh.
starts to get overwhelming, I think, for a lot of people is the planets, and then we've got the 64 gates, and then we've got the 52 channels, and like it can get
Yeah.
really, really minute and overwhelming. But starting with your type first, a lot of free readings give you those 5 basic, at least starting points that I
Yeah.
mentioned. So type and authority, type and strategy, centers and authority, profile and incarnation cross. So technically 4. That gives you
Okay.
that really gorgeous hero's journey of your energy. And then from there you can glean where you want to focus and what you want to start implementing first.
Awesome. Okay, so next question is the obvious. What are the 5 types? Focusing, I guess, on the energy and strategy side of it, maybe. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, there are 5 types, and the first one is generator. So generator is 70% of the population, and they are the ones that have a natural amount of energy, and they are what I like to call the structure. Some people like to call them worker bees. That's not really my favorite because generators don't necessarily love to work, but when they're in something that they love, the work doesn't matter. And what's interesting about generators, so first their strategy. So each type has its own strategy to keep you inside of this energetic flow. And for generators, it's know thyself and wait to respond. Now, the interesting thing is that 90% of us have wait inside of our strategy. And that right there for most entrepreneurs is like gut punching.
I
because
was going to say stressful, but yeah, okay. For sure, for sure.
Yeah, because we're not taught that at all. We're taught to initiate, to follow through, to do all the things, right? To not leave money on the table. And already that starts to like curtail our pace and our business. And what's interesting about generators is there's a little bit of a conflict because they have a ton of energy. They think they can do all the things when really they are meant to receive information from something or somebody. And this is major decisions, by the way. This isn't like, oh, wait until wait to respond to brush your teeth or wait to respond to eat dinner. Bigger decisions. But when you're building a business, especially, it's waiting to respond to an information that inspires you and pulls you and then follow through with that. So you're the follow through. And as generators, you also have what's called a stair step style of success. So you are meant to be masters. You have the energy to master once you have information to respond to and find your avenue through it. You'll do all the things will be successful, you'll get information, and then you're going to hit a plateau where things are going to start to slow down. You might enter in a little bit of frustration because it's not going at the cadence that it had before. It doesn't, there can be any time when that happens. That is an area for you to celebrate because you have now mastered everything inside of that stair step. And it's time for you to pause, recalibrate, wait for new information, and then go to that next stair step. So it's almost like a stop start, which also can tend to frustrate people. But when you start to learn the rhythm of it, it reframes that from, oh, I've stopped to, oh, I've mastered everything. Cool. I'm at a new level. What worked? What didn't? What's this next thing that I now have this space to bring forward or to receive from others? As we continue on, half of all generators are a subcategory called manifesting generators, which is what you are, Lynette. And manifesting
All right.
generators take the energy from the generator. So again, a very, very energetic type. However, they're not as stair-stepped as the generator. They are multifaceted, multi-niched, can be in multiple places at once and happily type of energy. So these are my ones who, if somebody has told you to niche down or hone in on a certain business idea and you want to punch them in the face, you're probably a Manny Gen because that's not how you are designed to be. Yes, you can focus on one thing at a time, but you are more than capable of creating multiple things on top of each other and having them run very profitably for you once you understand what that flow and rhythm is and who you are inside of each of those, what I like to call buckets. Because the through line for manifesting generators is you. And so it's understanding what are the areas of your personality that you want to turn into a paycheck, or what areas of your personality and passions you want to keep to yourself as a resting point for you. And for Manny Gens, your strategy is visualize and inform. So, because you also are umbrellaed under generator, there are some elements of know thyself and wait to respond. But the inform piece is the most important because it's letting others around you know what you are doing, not from a permission standpoint, but just from a pure soundboard. My Manny Gens love having a good soundboard because then they can really make sure that they are taking the steps correctly without going too fast because they can have a tendency to just see it, do it, go way too far and go, and then go 5 steps back and then try again. And when you inform, that curtails that a bit more because then you're able to see what others see, so you can miss those blind spots by going too quickly. As we continue down, we have projectors, which are 20% of the population. That would be me. Projectors have no natural energy. We actually receive it from others, and therefore our pace in life and business is a little bit comfier. I like to say, I don't like the term slower, just comfier. Uh, we can have spurts of natural energy. So our work, quote unquote, can be anywhere from like 2 to 4 hours a day. And we need to be intentional of what that work is to ensure that that energy that we are either receiving from it or that we are using for it is being used profitably and being used in a way that provides us that energy back in some sort of way, that ROI back. And we are the guides. I kind of joke around and say that we are the Holy Spirits or the project managers, per se, of the types. We see the patterns. We ask questions. We are the ones who strangers will come up to us and tell us the most personal things just out of the blue. And then they'll go, I don't know why I just told you that. Because we invite people in. We have that kind of aura about us. And a lot of us are coaches, consultants. I mean, there's a lot of us in a lot of different spaces, but definitely in that guidance space, that's where we feel most profitable. And our strategy is wait to be recognized and invited. That one right there, I had a hell of a time trusting, um, and definitely brought up some things for me that I had to work through in connection to that. Um, but yeah, we are the slower, we are the more comfier paced people. And when you understand that as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, that also shifts a lot of things when it comes to your quote unquote consistency. We do need a lot of rest, quote unquote, whatever that means to you. So it is a different energy that we need in order to be successful in our businesses. As we move down, we have manifestors. Manifestors are 10% of the population. They are actually the 9%, excuse me, 9% of the population. They're the ideators. They are the initiators. I call them my magic makers. Like they are the people that just constantly have ideas that tell people their ideas. And then the people around them go, yeah, we'll do that. And then the ideas are just done. are they are very powerful beings. They also don't have a natural energy source as well. They can siphon it from different areas, but like projectors, they can't go too far in their ideas. They're the ones like, ooh, I see this, because their strategy is pure inform. Just inform. Tell everybody and their mother about it. Because when they do, it then gets put into the right hands of the person who can bring that to life, and they can go back to ideating. They can go back to seeing what that next step is or that next level is. And then last but not least are our 1% are reflectors. If you thought the projector's energy was different, reflectors have us beat by far because they are the barometer of the community. So they and the collective, they are the ones that feel and see everything, and they guide from a space that's like one higher than a projector because their strategy is wait 28 days. So they are really the ones that are either way up or way back and just watching and feeling and using that information to then either know that they're in the right space that they can guide or understand that they're not in the right space and they need to move on to something different. This is such an interesting type to have. I've worked with a couple of reflectors, and even for me as a guide and as a projector, it's such a different um it's just a different way to guide them because of the way that they are designed as well. But it's really beautiful when you put them all together, the way that one starts and the other ones take over while the ones on the outside, the projectors and the reflectors are ensuring that everybody is staying good and staying true to themselves and staying true to their pattern, the way that you can really understand your pure profitability point as an individual and how that just naturally works inside of the collective, I think is one of the more powerful understandings with human design is when you really understand yourself and the power that you have and the way that what the spaces that you don't have the power for somebody does and you're going to attract that person because it's just the way that the neutrinos work and the quantum physics of it all, the frequencies of it all, and that's going to come forward in a way that you can stay in your zone of genius while others stay in their own. And we lift the collective up as a whole in our own individual way.
Yeah, I love that. And so, I was just thinking too, like all five of them, if we all understood our own, but yet we still need to understand others, it would be really cool to
Yeah.
know if I'm working with a projector or a reflector or
Oh,
a
absolutely. I
generator.
use it in my parenting. Yeah. I know my
Yeah,
sons. I know my partners. I do readings like that for business partners as well. So they can really understand the communication differences and the energy
yeah,
differences and the decision making differences. Because it is I wish there's been many times where I've said this, I wish there was a way that everybody could just, like, have their chart on their forehead, so just everybody goes,
yeah,
"Oh, okay, I cool, so I'll do this." Maybe,
exactly,
we'll just have that deeper
exactly.
understanding.
Yeah,
But until that happens, even just knowing yourself and how you can make sure you're protecting yourself in a way that is still keeping you open and aware and supportive, that's where the ripple starts, right? And then the more that people can listen to podcasts like this or, any other practitioner who's as loud about it as I am, and the more curiosity we can drum up, even in those little insights, creates such a big difference in how we connect with each other.
yeah, for sure. I was going to ask you, what is one sign that a woman is trying to kind of run her business in a way that really isn't aligned for her? But I think more so the question is, what are the once I know what I am, what should be
Mhm.
the logical place to start to look at my chart and apply it to my business?
Mm,
Because, like you said, it takes 7 years to really
yeah,
implement your chart. But where's a logical place to start? Especially if I'm sitting in my business and
yeah.
it doesn't feel aligned, you know?
I think definitely the two areas that tend to be brought up first that I work through a lot with clients first are their energetic type. So especially for those who found out that they're projectors and they've been trained to be generators their entire life. That's a 180, right? So type and strategy, but then also their authority, how they make their decisions and what authority that is. Because I know for me, so your authority is determined by a certain defined center, which again, the centers are aligned over 9 different chakras. And it gives you the cadence and the rhythm of your decision making. A lot of times we are told to trust our gut, right? The one that
Uh,
that I used to live by before I found out my design was the full body hell yes. That's a full body hell yes. Say yes right away, right? Funnily enough, I'm what's called an emotional authority, which means when I'm on those emotional highs, that is not time for me to make a decision. I need to let that emotional wave come down. I need to sleep on it. And the minute that I realized how many decisions I said yes in the excitement, and then 1 to 2 days to 2 weeks to 4 months later, I don't like anything about this decision, the more I realize, oh no, I am a person who needs to sleep on it. I need to let that energy, that excitement, or even that stress, not to react from stressful situations. I would look at a month and see that it wasn't being as profitable as I thought. Oh no, now I got to do this. And then I would start implementing this, and those wouldn't work out either because I was reacting from an emotional space. However, whenever I find myself that, I now give myself time for that. I say the glitter to settle, and when I do, that's when the clarity come and those next steps usually naturally present themselves. And so when people start to even understand one, their energy and the strategy that comes with it, and two, how they make their best decisions, and understanding that everybody makes their decisions differently. Some are what's splenic, which means they make it in the absolute moment. some that are sacral, which means they are that trust your gut. That's the sacral people. Trust your gut. Yep, absolutely. There's ones that need to soundboard. There's ones that come from their heart. And so they have different questions and different paces. So when you start to see that, again, not only do you understand why the things happened the way they did and why those decisions weren't the most profitable, as well as, oh, and other people make decisions differently as well. So that shifts their sales calls, that shifts their call to action, that shifts their conversations that they're having because we are all taught that no, have them make a decision in the moment, tell them to trust their gut, tell them to trust their intuition. Yeah, but that's not where everybody's decision making comes
I know.
from, right?
You just said something so interesting. You said something about how we were taught to be something that we weren't. So we've been kind of brought up in a situation that really truly wasn't ours. So how do we unravel that to become who we truly are?
Yeah, it's just honestly by just having a reading and getting that validation because I've never had a reading where somebody goes, "I'm sorry, what?" Like, no, that doesn't make sense. It is shoulders drop, deep breaths. I call them OHF moments, like just aha, OHF after aha, OHF. And it's that just, oh, okay, because then they start to see then where they naturally went too far. So if we're moving into a business, then it could be a matter of, oh, that's why group work always I hated it. And my mentor keeps telling me if I want to make the money I want to do. No, I don't have the capacity for groups. Great. Okay. And I can take that off the plate. Let me focus on the one-on-one stuff that I want to do. And maybe again for my Manny Gens, a mentor told them, nope, don't offer 7 things at once or multiple things. Just stick to one thing. But you're like, no, I actually have the capacity to do and talk about multiple offers because even the way that that you communicate and the most profitable ways that you communicate and network are in your chart as well. It shows you if social media is the best place, or is it speaking, or is it networking? It gives you again that customized information of no, you don't have to be here at all. You are more profitable in this area. So let's take the energy away from that and let's put it where it's meant to be. And so it doesn't come with a lot of work. It comes with a lot of awareness and practicing because we are deconditioning. I know for myself, I was deconditioning of 40 plus years of just, life and then, 10 years of business of being an entrepreneur before human design found me. So and I'm
Yeah.
still finding moments that I go, "Ooh, oh, there's that next level. Okay, let's." But I have my design to guide me through it of how to explore it for myself, of how to let it go, of how to implement it. And it's that constant guide that never changes ever. Your human design never changes. It shows you just how to get back to your foundations as who you are now and who you will become in the future.
No, that's so good. Okay, so let's say we've got a listener. She's thinking, okay, I've never actually downloaded my chart before. I'm going to go and download my chart. Like, where should she start? There's a couple things she could do. She could either A, go and try to do it on her own, or B, go to you and get a reading. I know you offer different types of sessions and ways to work with you. So explain both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So my favorite site to use just to get your basic information is called mybodygraph.com. And the reason why I like that one for me, and there's several different sites out there. You could either just Google human design chart, free chart, and you'll get a bunch that pop up. I prefer my body graph because it was created by the person who brought human design together. So it's very much rooted in his practices and how he brought it forward. It also to me is just more aesthetically pleasing and easier to read. Some of them can look a little bit too busy for my mind. But in the free chart, it does give you the basic information for you to go down your own rabbit holes. You can even unlock places in that app itself and just, pay behind this firewall or a little bit behind this one. If you're that type of person who just loves to go on your own rabbit holes, there's a lot of information to go down. I always say this with a preface though. Definitely one, do your due diligence because this is becoming more popular, which I'm very excited about. And it's also slightly becoming what I like to call Instagrammable, where people are just taking, oh, just my type, and then making massive shifts or decisions in a business without looking at the other layers of their chart. So be patient in how you absorb the information and know that you are more than just a type and a strategy. You have other areas in your charts to influence who you are inside of that type. If working with a practitioner is like, if you look at this and go, no, 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 there's no way, nor do I want to go down this rabbit hole on my own. I do offer 90-minute readings that do go over those foundational areas that I mentioned before with the lens of what clarity you want to receive during that reading. So not only do you get time to see yourself and be with yourself and get to know yourself, but you also get the clarity that you're looking for, whether that is, confusion in an area in your business, marketing, sales, or just life in general, or parenting. I do parents as well. Um, but it can be a time where you can just have somebody sit with you and show you how freaking phenomenal you already are, and then help you craft what your next steps are with that new awareness and get that accountability, as well as that space for you to continue to ask questions. Because when you do a reading with me, you get 30 days of Voxer aftercare. Voxer is a great walkie talkie app. So you can continue to ask me questions because I never ever want to be the person that gives you, an 80-page workbook and a 90-minute reading and then go, okay, see you later. It's no, some
There
things
you
are going
go,
to get
kid.
lost.
Go get
Like,
them. Go get them.
yeah,
Go
like
get
have
them.
fun with
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, it's important to me that you have that time to let it digest and then ask questions and process so you know what exactly you're implementing it and what you're learning by doing so.
Awesome. And that's at melmcsherry.com, right? You can
Correct.
get, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I'll have that in the show notes. So Mel, before I let you go, all right. So let's say I go, I've been a listener. I go, I get my free chart. Maybe I do a little bit of work with you.
Mhm.
And then the next thing I know, we're in the year of the horse. So let's talk a little bit about that. Cause you did say at the very
Yay!
beginning, human design is attached to astrology.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
yeah, talk a little bit about that. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, we needed this energy. And I love that we are talking about it because for those who don't nerd out on all the things like I do, we have just moved through the year of the snake. And we all felt it. We all felt the shutting. We all felt the heaviness. We all felt, the WTFing all over the place. Like it was just a year of tumultuous stuff. And I know for most people, we see January 1st as the new year, new energy, new year, new me. When in actuality, the new year doesn't start until the lunar new year, which is in February. So we have been still in the year of the snake up until today, February 17th. And when I tell people that, I get another bit of, oh, okay, because I've been so mad at myself that this year's been so hard, or why can't I get to, get my stuff together and be motivated like I had in previous years? Well, because that energy didn't hit till today. And so the year of the fiery horse is all about just obviously energy, which is beautiful, but it is about collaboration. It's about communication. It's year one for those who do, if you add up the numbers in 2026, it technically adds up to year one, which is the year of new beginnings, new cycles. So we're taking this fresh, open, newly shedded energy and space and capacity that you have been letting go and cleaning out and doing all the work for the last year. And we now have a space to fill it with a new energy, new inspiration, so on and so forth. So this year is going to feel, there's still going to be moments because, there's moments. But the undertow will be so much more energetically exciting and energetically motivating than we had in the past year.
Hey, and so what does that mean from a human design perspective? So as a projector, what would that look like for
Yeah.
you?
So for me personally, in the way that I'm outlined in my charts, um, to me, I'm receiving more energy. So not to overwhelm with so much information, but going back to those chakras and centers that I mentioned earlier, For some of them are open. So if you're looking at your chart, they're going to be white in color. Those are your energy receptors. And the ones that are colored in are your defined centers, which means it has a defined system or process to it. I only have two centers defined. Almost everything about me is open, open, open. So I receive a lot of energy, ideas. I feel a lot of emotions. So last year felt very heavy to me because not only my stuff, but everybody else's. So to have already this collective energy, I've been feeling it the last couple days, and it is like the best deep breath of fresh air I have had. And I need to remember as a projector, that energy is not mine. So to make sure I'm still not overcompensating or over extending myself because I feel that energy. So making sure I have my rest times for me personally, my rest times scheduled in. I'm not overpacking my calendar. I'm making sure I'm taking time for me and I'm making that a non negotiable because I still need to maintain my sustainability even inside of this very energetic year.
That's interesting you're saying that because as I've been kind of looking at different signs, I guess, astrological signs and kind of seeing what the year of the horse means for them, that seems to be a common theme across the board where you don't have to be in such a big hurry, get more in
Mhm.
flow and so that's really interesting. It's still so I do agree with you. I don't think I met one single person last year that wasn't going through it, including myself.
Yeah,
I think we're all just like, "Oh, thank God."
right.
So, I think even
Everybody
just
can take that collective deep
subconsciously
breath. Yeah.
yeah, and I think just even subconsciously and consciously, we're just like, "Yes, okay, it's over." And so I think that's provides at least half of the release that we should be getting from it. But
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
and then that awareness to welcome those new ideas and that new energy in. When you know that it's coming from somewhere and it's not just an oopsie, and I think that's another beautiful element of knowing your human design. When you know that those things that worked out for you so well weren't an oops, they were just your design working at its full potential, then you don't have to keep hoping it comes back. It's just a part of, no, it'll always be there. This is how it presents itself. So to be able to relax into that and then see how you personally can move through this very energetic year and beyond, because we're going through some pretty massive shifts, especially coming up in 26 and 27, or in 26 as well as into 27. It just gives you that anchor point of, I know who I am. I know how to move through this. I know how to utilize this energy profitably, mentally, emotionally, energetically, financially. And I know how to do this in a way that my life, my pace is honored and celebrated, and my business is of its own entity. And I'm in it in a way that I can maintain profitability and create that and build that success that I'm designed for.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's a great way to put a cherry on top this whole conversation. So, Mel, thank you for sharing your knowledge. You've got great energy and great insights. So, I'll make sure to put melmcsherry.com in the show notes. People can reach out to you there. Are you on Instagram as well?
I am. I'm on Instagram, Mel_McSherry, or you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Mel McSherry. Another thing, too, as well, for those, we talked about decision making earlier. For those who are like, no, I always need more information before I make a decision, I
Yeah.
do offer complimentary 30-minute virtual coffee chats. It's no pressure, no sales. It's just
Okay.
open space for you to ask me questions. And you can book one of those at virtualcoffeewithmel.com.
Okay. Perfect. Well, that's great. Thanks, Mel. And we will talk to you soon. Have a great 2026.
Thank you.